like to take a moment and thank our sponsor. If you have a laser device for training and you want to take it to the next level, or if you're looking to get into using a laser device for training, check out the products at laserapp.com, LASRAPP.com. You can use code CSP2021 for 15% off the items you've selected. And thanks for checking them out. Welcome to this week's edition of the Casual Shooters Podcast. This week you have a bonus episode because you have me, Leo, and Chris. Look, Chris is back from the dead.
Yay! He does exist.
This week is a little different than any other week. This time we have the most guests we've ever had at one time. We have 3 guests today. We have 3 current members of the Army Marksmanship Unit on the show, and let's bring them in and give a warm welcome to Sergeant John Browning. Staff Sergeant John Browning, Staff Sergeant Tyler Payne, and Sergeant Jacob Hetherington. Say hello, guys.
Hello. How's it going? What's going on?
So if you're watching this on YouTube, that is Jacob on the left, John in the middle, and Tyler on the right. All right. Before we go any further, Chris and Leo, if me and the guys from the Army Marksmanship Unit start talking too much military lingo and we're not explaining what we're talking about, chime in, let us know.
Yeah, the upside is I generally am the one that's like, nobody knows what that means except you guys. So I got you.
All right. So, guys, we usually ask a few personal questions to get to know our guest first. So, for the first 5 questions, we'll make this easy, and we're going to go, as I'm looking at it, left to right, so from Jacob over to Tyler. And then after that, there'll be more specific to each of you, and we'll go that way. So, number 1, favorite movie.
That's tough. My favorite movie is probably going to be Night and Day, because I think it's a really exciting movie, basically.
Okay.
Night and Day.
It's a good choice.
That's a hard one. I got a lot of really good movies I like. Tombstone is probably up there. Top 3.
Very good movie.
That's awesome.
Pulp Fiction's really good if you're into that. Saving Private Ryan. I don't really have a really all-time favorite movie, but those are probably top on my list for sure.
Those are very good classics right there.
I'm going to have to say John Wick. Get a lot of my shooting technique from John Wick.
I like it. And since you shoot PRS, I guess you use the lever action because that's about what John would use.
Yeah, we're that Savage 338 in that one scene.
There you go. Oh, it's hysterical. Favorite book?
I like With Winning in Mind by Laney Basham. I think it's helped me the most in my mental game. And I don't really read for fun, so...
We've discovered that a lot about the military shooting teams. There's a lot of reading how to be a winner and how to have a manual and read that. So that's okay.
I wouldn't really have a favorite book either. I just finished Killing Japan by Bill O'Reilly. That was a really good read. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. But Outliers, I read that a while back too. That's a really good one. But no, I don't really read all that much. I read a lot of news articles, stuff like that. I do read those quite a bit. But as far as a legit book, I don't really read a lot of books. Just speed read a lot of stuff.
If I remember, correct me, Leo, if I'm wrong, didn't one of the Williams sisters read Bill O'Reilly?
Yes, Justine.
Yeah.
I believe.
As a teenager. So
yeah.
You're in good company.
Sure. Yeah.
He's got a bunch of the killing campaigns. He just calls them killing whatever Germany and all that. I guess he's trying to turn into a historian, kind of like Newt Gingrich, but we'll see.
Okay.
Less Jabba the Hutt looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Newt, if you're listening. The off chance that you're listening to the show.
Quick.
All right, Tyler, what you got?
Probably 13-cent killers. Probably my favorite. That I've actually read a couple times.
What's it called again?
13-cent killers.
Hmm.
Kind of
Sent as in the money, or sent as in we sent you somewhere?
No, cent is in money. It
Okay.
offers a lot about how, an average cost of a round back then was like 13 cents.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I'm tracking now.
That's an older book.
yeah.
So this is our secret way of increasing our reading list, because every time we ask this question, we're all like, "Oh, I'm going to read that. I'm going to read that." So
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Our
now
list
have books to
grows
read.
and it never gets shorter
Yeah.
because I don't think we've read one yet either. So
Yeah, I'm
Fair.
gonna change my bar into like a bookshelf, maybe.
there we go. We'll just add each book to it
Right.
as we go. All right. So this is a Huggy special.
Yep.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to go with Iron Man because he created all of his stuff himself and wasn't like bit by a spider to become great. He built it all himself. So Iron Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The superhero thing. I don't. I don't know. Back in the day, the scene with Superman holding up the commercial airliner, I'm gonna have to go with Superman.
All right.
Remember how he was holding up the whole
Yeah.
airliner with one hand, and that'd be pretty legit if you could really do that.
That is pretty
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like back in the Christopher Reeves.
Yes,
Yeah.
before he fell off a horse and broke his back.
Correct.
Apparently,
Yeah.
that was his kryptonite, gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broke his neck.
Rest in peace, R.I.P. Christopher Reeves.
I'm gonna have to go with Superman as well. I mean, it took like 5 superheroes just to kind of be close to taking out Superman. So
Yeah.
No Captain America, huh?
his superpower was a shield, man.
This is
Wow.
You're not wrong. You're not
Throwing
wrong.
shade on Captain America. I've not had anybody do that yet. That was impressive.
Go through a building or something? Is that all?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, that's awesome. I can't say. I'm like, I'm writing that down. All he does is throw a shield.
All right, so your favorite gun and caliber, and they don't have to be the same. Like you don't have to say 1911 and 45. It could be a 1911 and 6.5 Creedmoor or whatever.
I think my favorite gun is probably just going to be like an AR-15, and my favorite caliber is a 22 long rifle.
Oh wow, okay. Now, why 22?
It's the most fun to shoot, in my opinion.
It is fun to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, can't disagree with you.
And it's cheap, and you can actually get it now.
Yeah.
Very true.
That helps.
My favorite caliber is by far the 22 long rifle. My favorite gun, man, that's a hard one. That's almost like a favorite movie.
All of them.
Right.
The Ruger 1022, really, they're just.
Yeah, that was my second.
I have to say my favorite gun is the Ruger 1022, and my favorite caliber is the 22. You can put 300 or 400 rounds in your pocket, and there's no comparison. You can kill all kinds of stuff with it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite. So.
I like it.
I do too.
I like a nice light AR and 223 because you can kill just about anything in America with it.
Yeah.
And not much more recoil than a 22 long rifle.
Yeah, not much.
Okay, I like it. Good answers. All right. favorite experience in the Army thus far? It can be a duty station. It can be for like Jacob winning nationals. It can be it can be water at basic training. It can be anything.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I have some memorable experiences. I was like the honor grad in my basic training, so I got to fly like on the door of a Chinook when everyone else had to like sit back, and we flew all over Fort Leonard Wood, and that was pretty cool being able to be like the only new guy to fly on the edge of the door. So probably that.
The CH-47?
Yeah, whatever the Chinook is.
The double prop helicopter, right?
That's right.
Yeah, the Army version is the 47. Okay, we're good.
Nerd.
I don't know. I mean, I've got a lot of very memorable experiences too. I've met a lot of really awesome people. But I guess the one thing that sticks out the most is shooting Mark 11s off of a Seahawk out in the middle of the.
Wow.
We got to do it basically anytime we wanted to for 2 or 3 months with the Navy. That was really fun. We would shoot trash and leftover food. You know, the boat squirts out all the food, you know, we didn't eat out of the galley. And then the sniper platoon could go up and shoot stuff. And the dialogue between shooter-observer, you know, at 300 or 400 feet off the deck was really cool. You know, he would just circle around. We would shoot until we're out of ammo, and he'd land, and then tomorrow we'd do it again. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
That's probably the funnest, you know, experience that sticks out. I mean, I got a lot more than that, but just for time purposes, that's probably the one that came.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Same with John. We've got to do a lot of really cool stuff with the Army. Got paid to go to Japan, teach a bunch of guys how to shoot.
That's cool.
Got to ride around with little birds and do infill, exfil stuff. Just all kinds of really cool stuff. Anything you can think of, really. Got to travel the world.
When you say info exfil stuff, what kind of stuff did you get to do? Did you spy rig? Did you rappel?
Coming in, basically touch and go type stuff.
Okay. All right, cool. You guys have gotten around a little bit. I like it. So the next question, we actually had Matt Nash on, and we interviewed him for a bit. And one of the questions we always ask is, you know, when was the first time you shot? How did you get into shooting? And for him, it wasn't until he joined the Marines and went to boot camp. Now, how about for you guys? When was the first time you guys shot, and how'd you get into shooting?
Well, my dad started me out pretty young. Right before I turned 3, I started shooting with a 10-22. And then went squirrel hunting when I was 4. Then when I turned 10, I shot my first IDPA match. And then when I was 12, I started shooting USPSA. And my dad basically got me into all of it. So.
Okay.
You didn't happen to live on a farm, did you?
That was my question.
I did not live on a farm. No.
Okay.
But it
Sorry,
sounds very familiar.
Yeah. There's a winning formula that we've discovered. So
Yeah.
I was just curious.
For me, as far as competitions, my first shooting competition was with muzzleloaders, black powder. My dad, he builds custom flintlocks and whatnot. And I guess 8 or 9 was the first match I went to. It was still silhouettes. And to 25, 50, 75, and 100, we would shoot round ball muzzleloader at silhouettes, you know. And I was a junior state champion, whatever year that was, a long time ago. That was my first competition. And then that's pretty much all I did. Then I joined the military, and I found myself at a steel challenge match in 2011, I believe, 11 or 12. And that's when it really lit the fire. I went to a lot of steel challenge from there, and then a buddy of mine taught me to go into a USPSA match, and that was I was hooked in. I mean, there's no going back now for me.
Addiction sealed at that point.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I was out in California, and ever since then, you know, I've just been trying to compete as much as I can and beat as many people as I can. It's a lot of fun. But that's how I got started.
Yeah, I don't know how old I was, but I had one of those Red Ryder BB guns. I used to just walk around.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to have to put it on the ground and kick the little cocking handle open to cock it. So I don't know how old that is, but it's pretty young. Kind of graduated up to a 22, walking around, shooting all the critters around. And then my dad got me into shooting. He was the firearms instructor for our area there. So I would go out and compete with all the local cops and stuff like that. And then gradually got into USPSA and 3-gun, and then finally into PRS.
Okay.
I'm just glad you didn't shoot your eye out.
Boom.
Could have been bad.
Could have ended his career before it ever began.
Yeah. Crisis averted.
So did any of you guys ever watch Stripes and think that's what the Army was going to be?
You say that again?
Did you ever watch the movie Stripes and think that's what the Army was going to be?
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
What? Are you serious? It's
Yeah,
a
I'm-
classic. Oh my! All right.
I think he's too young.
I think we're showing our age here.
Yeah.
when we
Maybe,
know
maybe
about
we
stuff.
are. Maybe we are.
That just made me feel really old.
All right. So what is your MOS for the three of you?
I'm a 12 Bravo, which is a combat engineer. So below in the regular 12 Bravo, we basically clear and create obstacles and basically clear the way for everyone else. So,
Okay.
a lot of explosives and math.
Oh, I'm out. Yeah, I can't. You said math. Yeah.
It's quite a bit, a lot more than I expected when I joined. So,
It's like, what? You just don't put the two wires together and go boom? No?
no.
Well, I feel lied to, but that's okay.
I'm going to Bravo, which is infantry and the Army. I did a inter-service transfer before I was in the infantry as well, in the Marine Corps for 10 years. So I've just pretty much been in the infantry the whole time.
I'm 11 Bravo as well.
So John, were you able to skip basic training?
Yeah, it was pretty much seamless. It was bizarre too, because I got my DD 214 on a Tuesday, and then I swore into the Army on a Wednesday, and went straight to AMU headquarters building that following week. It was,
Oh,
guess-
okay. Oh,
I guess-
we're gonna- this is interesting. So how does that how did you get hooked up to go to the AMU while in the Marine Corps?
There's a form, a DD form. I'm not going to bore you with formalities, but there's some paperwork you can do. At least back then, this was 6 years ago. I don't know how it is now, but there's an inter-service transfer paper you can do. You got to have a 2-star to sign it, which I did, and then it authorizes you to set up your transfer to another branch while you're still in, so you don't have any broken time. So that's, in a nutshell, how that works. You got to have the recruiter on point and whatnot. It's a bit of a paperwork, but you know.
So were you on any of the Marine Corps teams?
I was on the Marine
Oh, okay.
for 3 years there at Quantico. Me and Staff Sergeant Peterson were there at the same time, and
Really?
shooting some 3-gun matches, and I met the action team there, and they were gracious enough to give me a tryout here. So obviously I did it, and that's that.
Very interesting. So what was your MOS? Oh, you said you were infantry in the. So you were 0311.
I was 0311 and 0317.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Marine Corps. Yep.
Where did you get your 0317 at?
Stone Bay, 2007.
Okay. I was an 8541.
Yeah, I was the last class to be 8541. So I was initially that, and then they did whatever it is they do and changed it to 0317. But
So this is going to be that time where I step in and I'm
Right.
like, this is
What?
just a bunch of numbers.
MLS designated.
Yeah.
In English, what does that mean?
It's just your job title.
So what's
it's the
what's
scout sniper designation.
Okay, I didn't want to assume. I kind of knew, but I was like, okay. So basically, you shoot good. Hence the black shirt.
Stone Bay is where Dave Ankeny went as well.
Okay.
So you guys know. So he went the same place. I was at Quantico for almost 4 years as an instructor there.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good schoolhouse there. There's a lot of history there.
There is a lot of history there. I'm happy to say I have my name on the Bertoli Trophy, so I'm very happy.
That's cool.
I was also an 0321. So anyway, enough about that. That's a reconnaissance Marine. There you go, guys. Okay.
I heard Bertoli. All I thought was pasta. I got really hungry.
Yeah.
It's like, that sounds delicious.
All right. So you guys, AMU is located at Benning, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to jump ahead real quick. Do you guys during your, I'll say, quote unquote, off season, when the competition season kind of slows, do you guys ever get a chance to go to any of the schools there on Benning?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You guys, anybody been to Airborne, Pathfinder, or Lurslick? No.
Not any of us three, but there's other members on the action shooting team that have. So.
Okay. So we interviewed Julie Golub a few months back, and she was talking to us about how she was recruited as a teenager to join the Army and be on the Army marksmanship unit. Were you guys recruited? Is that how you ended up at AMU?
Yep. All three of us were.
All of you? Okay. So Jacob and Tyler, were you guys, was that before you joined the Army, were you recruited?
It was, yeah.
Yes.
So how did they find you? Like this is still kind of baffling to me because as John knows, the Marine Corps doesn't do that. That's not how it works in the Marine Corps. So it's still I find it very intriguing. How did they find you guys and then recruit you?
It's pretty easy. Every match you go to, basically, you're looking at the scores to see how you did. And if you see a junior shooter that's consistently getting close to the top, they kind of stand out. And then if we need to hire someone, we can contact them and ask if they want to try out and try and convince them to come join the team. So basically, that's the best way we find people is we look at the scoreboard, and if your scores are standing out, you're going to get noticed. So
Okay. Like a Gianni.
yeah, like Gianni.
Okay.
Oh, just so you know, it's actually Gianni Giordano. Sorry. It's an inside joke. Huggy doesn't say people's names right.
So the story
That's
was
why I'm silent.
we interviewed Gianni.
Very
Great
good young
kid.
man.
Yeah, he's awesome. And Leo was trying to get Chris to pronounce his name Gianni, however he said the last- Giordano.
Yeah.
Just because he has a tendency to mispronounce things. Like he'll say practice score. So that's just an inside joke thing.
Sorry.
Something I'll never live down, but guess what? I didn't even say his name, so I was good to go. Didn't slaughter it. So I'm good.
I think he figured it out and just kept quiet and he didn't say anything. So
I learned. See, I was over in Germany for 3 years, and when I first got over there, didn't speak a lick of German, and I remember trying to talk to a young lady at a bar and everything like that. And so I went up to her and, trying to be, the American, I'm like, I'm Chris. What is your name? And she kind of looked at me and she's like, I speak English. And I'm like, oh, well, that ended that. See you. Have a good night. Bye. So names are not the greatest. Unless it's like Smith, John, Jacob.
Something easy.
Yeah.
Right. So, Jacob, I assume you were shooting USPSA or action pistol of some sort when you got noticed.
Yes, I was. Shooting
Okay.
in USPSA.
Obviously, John was shooting with the Marine Corps. Now, Tyler, what were you shooting that got you noticed?
I was shooting 3-gun.
Okay. What part of the country are you from, Tyler?
Minnesota.
Ah,
Okay. You have a very short shooting season then.
Yeah, terrible place.
Yeah. Because you have like 8 months of winter. So, okay.
oh, Minnesota. Ah,
Yeah, Minnesota.
you like the hot dishes, huh?
No, I don't claim that state anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
I like olive oils and
The ocean.
So, how long have you guys been on the team?
I've been on the team for like 5.5 years now, maybe 6. So,
Okay.
I was just a couple months before Jacob, so pretty much same thing. 5.5, 6 years.
I've been here for 11 years.
Wow.
Wow, you're like the grand old man of the AMU. Anybody been there longer than you?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people that have been here 18, 19, 20 years. People that retired out and still work here as a coach or.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I like that continuity. Now, when I talked to Scott, that was his name, right? Peterson?
Yep.
Okay. When I talked to him, he was saying what you guys shoot, but you also, like he said, Jacob and John, you guys also shoot 3-gun.
yeah. Sometimes we get the opportunity to shoot both 3-gun and USPSA. It just depends on the year and the scheduling. And if it works out, we can shoot both 3-gun and USPSA.
Now, Tyler, you shoot PRS. Do you shoot 3-gun still as well?
I do every now and then. We try to do as much cross training as we can because a lot of our job is actually instructing the soldiers, like taking what we learn here and bringing it back. So when we go and teach, we don't want a guy who can only teach one thing. We want a guy that at least has a general knowledge of everything that we do. So if one of the instructors is focusing on one student, whoever else is with them helping isn't just lost. They have an understanding of what we're doing. So we try to train as much as possible in all the other disciplines as well.
Okay. That actually, I have a question further down, so I'm gonna talk about that now then, because it's a perfect lead-in for it. So I had done, when I was at my time at Quantico, I was part of several mobile training teams. Is that why you guys shoot different disciplines? Do you guys go on mobile training teams during the slower part or of your season, or how does that work?
It doesn't
Teaching
really,
other people.
yeah, it doesn't really matter the time of year. If we get a request from certain units, we'll kind of put a pause in our shooting season. If we don't have a match scheduled for, like, say, that week, we'll try to go up there and help them any way we can. So we're always trying to help anyone that we can get a little bit better at shooting.
Okay.
And does everyone on the team do training, or is that just specific people?
No, it's everyone. We'll get requests for specific individuals, but if someone does get that request, we'll typically bring 1 or 2 of the other guys with us at least, because it's really hard managing 30 people by yourself. So we always want to have at least 2 people.
Now, what's the largest group you guys have had to train in, like a mobile training team style session?
Typically, if it's only a few of us, we try to cap it at around 30 or 40 people, because that's the absolute maximum we can handle by ourselves. But we've been on other trips where there's 200 individuals with our instructor training group. Sometimes we'll get tasked to go and help them. So we'll do a whole company of people.
I was going to say, like from a platoon size up to like a reinforced company almost.
So,
Okay. All right. So these next questions are specifically for Jacob and John. What divisions do you guys shoot in USPSA?
I shoot production and carry optics, and then every now and then single stack, but it's mostly going to be production and carry optics from here on out.
Okay.
And I have shot production and single stack, but limited is my main gig. I got a lot invested in limited, so really want to win limited nationals. That's my overall goal. So yeah, limited is my thing. So.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah. Leo's a big limited guy, so.
It's fun. It's challenging.
Now the Air Force and Navy action teams, they have to supply everything themselves. They have to supply their own gun, their own gear, all of that stuff. I know you guys don't, but do you guys use military issue stuff, or are you able to use other things that are not military issue?
Within reason, we can use whatever we want. Our unit is very, very good at enabling us to use government issued stuff or whatever. I mean, winning is the overall goal. So AMU is very good at being pretty logical with a lot of things. So does that answer your question?
It does. Absolutely. Now, I know the capability at Quantico with the armorers and their build sections and all that. I'm sure, I know that Benning has the same thing. Do you guys have armorers designated to help you with your equipment?
We do. We have machinists and legitimate gunsmiths. I mean, we have an awesome custom firearm shop that can do basically anything we need.
ballisticians.
Yep. Yeah, we have
Okay.
a whole different section for ballistics. I mean, it's a very impressive unit.
Nice. Okay. Now, this is a question that I asked both the Navy and the Air Force teams as well, so I'll ask you guys. Do you use Lake City ammo, or are you able to use whatever you want?
We have a contract with all kinds of different ammo
Companies? Okay. And how often, this is kind of getting into Julie's interview again. She was saying that I asked her specifically, why she got out of the Army when she was on the AMU, and she said the training became more of a chore, and she kind of lost that fun feeling. How often do you guys train, and what do you guys do to keep it fresh?
You want an answer from each of us?
Yeah, you can answer on this one, Tyler.
Okay. We try to train every day if possible. Obviously, there's other stuff that we have to do, like typical Army tasks that we have to do. But any day we're at work, we're trying to get out on the range and do some form of training. One of the ways we kind of help break up the monotony is by training other disciplines. So about this time of year, getting into September, October, guys start getting a little bit burned out on doing the same thing every day.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's typically when we'll start, like, I want to make GM and carry optics, so I'll go out and train with Jacob for a week or so, just trying to figure out what kind of drills I need to work on my off time or at home doing dry fires or something like that. And that helps keep everything new and interesting. And then when my season starts back up again, obviously I'll put away the carry optics gun and get back to doing work.
Okay.
It's kind of a way that I've found to help break up the task, making it feel not like a chore, but something that I actually want to keep doing.
Well, that's interesting. So you're not only cross-training in disciplines, but you're also then training with the guys who specifically do that primarily.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, Tyler, I'm going to jump ahead to a question for you then. Obviously, John and Jacob could go out and work USPSA stuff together. How many people are on the PRS side that you can go out and train with?
So recently, Staff Sergeant Peterson came over and was shooting PRS with me, but now he is going to be our team chief. So we hired another guy out of Texas. He's going to come and shoot. But it is tough on your own, trying to figure out how to gauge where you're at, something like that. You know, you go out there and feel like you're shooting really well and go to a match and you're like, oh, yeah, I need to practice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to, as someone who has shot long range stuff before, it's a little more difficult to figure out that wind call when you're dealing with recoil. So, you know, you can't always see the trace of your own bullet. So if you don't hit your target, you may not know where you're impacting. So that can be difficult.
Yeah.
So that leads into my questions for you, Tyler, which is what division in PRS do you shoot?
So I used to shoot open, which is just like USPSA, pretty much anything goes. Recently switched over to the gas gun division because I really like shooting gas guns, and for me it's a little more practical for the teaching side of things. Staff Sergeant Peterson competes in open, so it made sense for me to switch over to the gas gun division.
Now, what caliber did you shoot in open?
6XC, and now with the gas gun, I'm shooting 6 Creed, which is essentially the same thing.
Okay. All right. Do you know who Todd Jarrett is?
I know Todd.
Okay. And he's, I knew John and Jacob did. I wasn't sure if Tyler, but he has recently gotten into PRS as well. He just shot some competition out here at Quantico.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, Doug Koenig shoots PRS. Todd obviously shoots it. There's quite a few.
Josh Froelich is starting, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few people that are getting into it. It's fun.
It's growing fast. That's for sure. Now, obviously our audience does mostly USPSA style practical pistol style shooting. So they're not as familiar with PRS. What matches do you shoot and compete in?
Really, we try to go to as many as we can. There's not a certain match that I go to every year, unless it's a really close local one. I try to make all the local matches, but they kind of change every year. So we try to get as much experience in as much different terrain as we can.
So how often do you travel to other places in the country to shoot?
Pretty much every match we go to, so 8 to 10 times a year.
Okay. So roughly once a month then on average?
Yep.
Sometimes twice?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And it's interesting because I'm going to throw this out there for the audience as a comparison. With the Air Force and the Navy, they get permissive TAD so they can shoot, but they still have to supply everything. You guys are, I assume you're giving travel orders so you can take your weapons and your ammunition, all of that while you're on duty as well. And they're paying your travel and all of that.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've always said, while I was a Marine, I have always felt that the AMU has done it right. So you guys are solid. So, Tyler, with your 6 Creed, what bullet weight are you using on that?
108 grain currently.
Okay. Have you tried any other, and is that what you came up with as works best for you, or?
No, we're just using commercial ammo right now for the 6 Creed, and
So you guys aren't hand loading anything, huh?
we are for some of the open division stuff. We're doing some hand loads for it, but for me with the gas gun, I'm just using factory currently.
Okay. Any plans on changing that in the future?
No, I mean, unless they give me something else, I'll shoot whatever they give me.
Great attitude.
Anything that shoots, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm going to throw that out there for anybody who's listening to PRS. What type of accuracy you're getting out of your gas gun?
Currently, I'm getting insane accuracy. I have a gun right now, and I don't say this very often, but I would call it a consistent half-minute gun. So,
Okay. Now, when you shot open, was that a bolt gun?
it was, yep.
And what kind of accuracy were you getting out of your open gun?
Just under a half minute, usually, fairly consistently under a half minute.
Okay. All right. Now,
It's all
John,
right.
John, with your background, have you shot any PRS for the Army?
I haven't shot any PRS. No.
What? That's blasphemy.
And I'm just completely engulfed into the USPSA. I did just recently get a bolt gun finished, though, at 308. And I've been, Tyler actually has been helping me out quite a bit in the prone and whatnot. I've been shooting it a little bit the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited about it. But I am going to get to a PRS match with Tyler.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was nice getting back on the gun. It shoots really, really well. And I'm excited about it. But now, for the most part, my diet is with the pistol. I really want to get nationals. That's one of my big goals.
Is that your main focus then?
Yes, sir. That's it right there. I was first loser last year. That kind of stung. So I really want to bring the heat this year. So.
Okay. I like it.
Still better than 373rd loser.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys haven't seen that number in a while, but
like since
whatever.
you began.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say like 3 years old. or
Yeah,
something.
that number costs you a lot of appetizers.
Yes, sir.
All right. So Tyler, here's the last specific question I have just for you on PRS stuff. And John, feel free to chime in. But do you guys still have the sniper school at Benning?
We do.
Now, do you ever share information with them and train with them?
As often as we can.
What about Sodic? Do you share information with them and train with them?
Yep, we do. We haven't trained with them in a while, but we work with some of their teams up there, and we see a lot of those guys at matches. But
Okay.
we try to share information with our guys as much as possible.
So they send their guys to matches too, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't know if they send them, but some of their guys compete.
They show up.
Yep.
I got you. Okay.
Do they
All
show
right,
up
cool.
with the blurred face thing across their eyes? Like a standard
that's funny.
thing?
All right. So, next round of questions. Here we go. This is, I talked to Julie a little bit about this, and as soon as I heard Jacob mention it, I was like, awesome, because we're going to be getting into this, and that's where we're at right now, and that is Lanny Basham. So, before we get into all of his mental management stuff, Julie mentioned the stress of having to perform as a member of AMU. Lanny even, has told the story about how he was almost cut from the Army Marksmanship Unit. Is it still that same today? Is there that much stress and expectation on performance?
Every team has different standards. We have our standards on the action shooting team, and I imagine it would be stressful if you were struggling to keep those standards. But John, Tyler, and I, we usually do well at matches, and I don't think we're very stressed about not meeting the standards. But if I could imagine if you were close to getting cut off, then that would be pretty stressful. So
I think that the standards we place on ourselves are probably higher than the gates to stay in the unit. So
yes.
the stress
Okay.
on ourselves is much higher than the stress of not performing well. Like we want to win than our guys want us to win.
Yeah.
You put more pressure on yourself than the unit does then.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay, I gotcha. So, speaking of Lanny, now obviously he was a member of the Army Marksmanship Unit back in the day. Does Does he teach you guys his mental management system himself?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was still that connection or not. Do you guys ever get that training, or do you just read the book?
Daniel Horner taught me my mental management program from the ground up. I owe it all to him. When I first got here, he laid the bedrock for me for the mental management. He did a really good job with it too. It's really straightforward. But as far as my mental management, that's where it came from. Was from Daniel Horner.
Okay.
Everyone on the team, on the action shooting team, we all want to get each other better. And so if anyone on the team is struggling, we'll help talk about whoever is struggling, their mental management, and we'll try and support them with our knowledge. And we're very transparent on the team, and everyone basically knows what everyone does. And so when you get to the team, your mental management comes from basically everyone else.
Yeah. And we'll go outside of the team as well. We have multiple gold medal Olympians on the team, or in the unit. So, I mean, we can go and talk to people whose game is more mental than ours. Like, we can go talk to the IR shooter, who I would say majority of their game is mental. So we have a lot of people in the unit who have really, really good mental games and can convey it to others.
That sounds a lot like cheating. I'm just saying.
It's an unfair advantage. But I will say they did a great job this year at the Olympics. So good kudos to them.
Yeah. So Jacob, did you you said that his with winning in mind helped you a lot. Did you use a I want to say a diary, but a journal?
No, I don't keep a journal. I have goals and stuff, but I don't write them down. But I've never had a problem not remembering them or anything like that. I know everyone says write your goals down. I haven't had a hard time remembering mine because they mean a lot to me. So I don't keep a journal or anything.
Okay.
I do, but mine has a unicorn on the front.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was just thinking about the only thing I write down is every time I catch a fish in a different state, I write it down. And if I have a boat and every fish I catch on my boat, I try and write down to see how many species I can catch on my boat. So that's about the only writing things down that I do.
Okay. That's interesting. So how many different species of fish have you caught on your boat?
I was going to say that for later.
Well, I have it written down, so I don't have it in front of me, but yeah.
That's why he writes it down.
At least 20, I would say.
At least 20?
Yes.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
All freshwater?
When him and I travel together, we make a point to try and at least catch a fish in that state. So we have caught fish in every state we've been to. We have the telescoping rods, so you can put it in your travel bag. But
wow. Look at that. I like it. Planning ahead. Proper prior planning.
that's right.
I like it. The 7 Ps. So what are your Army goals? Crickets. Crickets.
To stay on the team.
Right.
The goal is stay on the team, get promoted when the time comes is part of the team, and really my goals are just in military wise, just to be extremely clean and the best at everything I go to. About like the schools that I go to, whether it be a leadership school or a different school, I always try and be the best there. And one of my goals is to never have an issue passing like our PT test or height and weight standards, and I've never had an issue doing that. So
I did. That's why I'm not in it.
Well, you're also, 80, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So
Look at the white
are
tees.
do all three of you want to stay on the team until retirement? Is that
Plan.
I would like to.
Yeah, that's the plan.
okay? All right. Now, what are your shooting goals, Jacob? It's kind of hard to come up with a shooting goal higher than what occurred last fall, but what are your shooting goals?
Well, big fall is the world shoot that was supposed to happen the last 2 years. And if it happens this next year, that's one of my biggest goals is to be the production world champion. And then after that, probably TAC Ops champion if there's a nationals match. That's one of my goals. And then carry optics is, I just started shooting that this year some, and that's a good goal to win nationals and carry optics. And so those are my big 4 goals in shooting.
All right, so I'm going to ask this question right now, then before we ask the other two about their shooting stuff. What, your personal opinion, what is the level of pressure going to be at this year's carry optics? And I say that because of all of the shooters that are going to be there shooting carry optics.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna be able to attend, but the thing with Max Michel, he's won it ever since it started, and that creates a lot of people because hate is gonna hate, and so there's a lot of hungry
He's a
people
machine.
are working extremely hard to beat him. So I'm gonna watch from afar, but it's gonna be pretty exciting to watch the scores come in because there's a lot of people that are working every day to get past his level.
This might be the greatest nationals in the history of nationals. There are a lot of high-end shooters out there gunning for that championship.
Yeah, it'd be a big match. Sure.
But you've got the GOAT of carry optics that you've got to beat. So it's going to be interesting. John, what about you? What are your shooting goals other than limited nationals?
Oh, that is the main one, obviously.
Okay.
To get better, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say super big goals. They're just a lot of small goals that build up to winning limited nationals. It's just a personal thing with drills and just getting better on the gun. Never missing a piece of steel for a certain amount of time. So if I train all week, if I shoot 20 different steel targets once or twice, the whole week, those kind of goals, I call it a kind of a triple charge approach. Small 1 hour training sessions, back to back, day after day, small ones, not big. That really helps me a lot, real high rep drills. But as far as goals, winning limited nationals and the world shoot coming up, I'm on the standard team for the U.S. So that's a really big deal for me. I've never been in the world shoot. I've never been on the world shoot team, and now I am. So I want to represent the standard team, really well. It's unfortunate it didn't happen this year or last year. I was really looking forward to that, but hopefully it'll be next year, or is it the year after?
It's 20. I don't know when it is, honestly.
Yeah. So,
it's November, December next year, or the next year after that.
but,
Right. I think it's every 3 years.
Yeah.
It is.
It's probably going to be back to back, 22 and 23.
That's my main gig there is doing that. So the last 3 seasons I've just grown a lot in certain areas, certain targets and whatnot are just no problem now. So it's a lot of mental game now. So the shooting is there. You just have to be able to deliver it on command. That's the hard part.
Going back to Lanny Basham. Tyler, what about you?
Yeah, so like I kind of mentioned earlier, I'd like to make GM and carry optics within the next year or so. That's one of my personal shooting goals. As far as professional, I want to win a match overall in the gas gun division. So competing against all the open shooters and everything like that, I would like to win overall. I got close. I tied for second at a match, but I want to get the the win overall, and then win the Gas Gun Division at the finale this year.
Now, when is that?
That'll be in November, the first week in November, I believe.
It's like the 5th or something?
Somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was early November. Okay. And where do you guys see yourself in 10 years?
On a beach.
Best answer yet.
I'll still be in the Army, so I probably will be a team chief or some leadership position in the AMU. So
Okay.
I'll be retired.
I would hope so.
I'll be retired, living a good life, but I'll definitely still be shooting. Not real sure on, the specifics of that, but I'll definitely still be in the game.
Nice.
Okay. Tyler?
Yeah, like I said, I'll be retired and on the beach.
You're just like, I'm out.
baby.
Right. Exactly.
Doesn't matter. Just somewhere.
I'll shoot, but it'll probably be at animals.
He's gonna look like Grizzly Adams with a big old beard. And
Do you listen to country music?
Not too much.
Because in the background, I hear Eric Church saying, "Drink in my hand."
Yeah, I don't like Eric.
Yeah. I don't listen to a lot of country music. I'm a hooligan. I'm a huge fan of the Who, but there are a few country rock guys who are pretty good, so I can appreciate it. All right.
So Tyler, let me ask you a question. So Tyler, when you say you're going to be hunting, are you looking out towards more like the Montana, Wyoming area or something like that?
There's no beach in
There's no
Montana
beach
or
there.
Wyoming. Come
I
on.
feel like we really need to focus on the beach part.
He said hunting. You can't hunt at a beach unless you're hunting something else.
It's called passive hunting. You put a cage out there. The crab just walks in. It's like, oh look, my new house. Then you pull the cage in. You're like, oh, dinner.
That's called crabbing, not hunting.
Okay, listen, man.
I'm not picky on where I'm hunting. I like going out west, going on some antelope hunts this year, hoping to do some mule deer and elk in the future. But yeah, I'm not picky on where I go.
Okay.
Did you do any archery at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Jacob and I shoot quite a bit of archery.
yep.
Okay.
Nice. What do you shoot? Matthews or
I shoot Matthews.
nice?
Jacob.
I shoot a Hoyt.
Okay, very nice. I shoot a PSE myself, so
That's what I got.
see, PSE man, right there.
I'm balling on a budget. I shoot a Mission.
Mission's good. though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's made by Matthews. Thank you very much.
There's been plenty of deer killed by Mission.
That's right.
mm-hmm. That's right.
And because now I got a bum shoulder, I can adjust it and tune it down without having to put it on a press. So,
That's cool.
yay me.
Yes. Actually, I will have to agree. Missions are I actually have a Mission too. I like it, but I prefer the PSE when I'm actually hunting. So, but
Not a sponsor, by the way.
yeah, not a sponsor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. It's all shooting. Now, are you guys distinguished?
No.
No.
I got some
Dude.
points. I'm not.
Do you guys get points in practical pistol towards a distinguished shooter's badge? No.
No. We have to shoot the official Army military pistol matches. So
Like the NRA matches? Okay.
A few points from division matches, but that's it.
Okay. Now, I'm sure there are, well, let me back up. One of the things I talked to with Matt Nash about was the future of USPSA and coaches in USPSA. And he could see in the future the sport growing to where there are actually coaches traveling to matches with shooters. What do you guys think about that?
I've seen it before. Some colleges have like small USPSA teams and programs, and the coaches will travel along and try and help out their shooting. And I think as long as, as soon as they say low to make ready, if the coach is silent, just like he's supposed to per the rules, I think go ahead. Like, bring as many coaches as you want,
I don't think it would hurt anything. I mean, good idea. I've never had a coach in a match like that. Had some really good coaches back here at the range, though, at Curly.
If you guys want, I'll be your hype man. I can do that. They're like, you're the best. You're so good. Now go do that thing that you do that makes you that. Like, I can do that.
I'm glad you said hype because it reminded me I had a question for Jacob. How tall are you?
I'm 5'10.5".
So close.
So basically,
so close.
You overcame astronomical odds to win production nationals because you're not over 6 feet.
That's right. Yep. Everyone is taller than me except for pretty much JJ and Sal. So in the production,
it is ridiculous the number of giraffes that compete in that division.
Yeah, we're gonna have to send you guys the form. We've discovered a secret winning formula for being a champion.
Yeah,
we'll email it to you. Yeah, you may need to start putting lifts in your shoes to do it all to win everything all the time.
And if you want AMU to stay on top for infinity, then just start recruiting kids from farms who start shooting about the age of 4
and are homeschooled.
And they're homeschooled. That's right. That's part 3. Yeah, that's the trifecta. Farm, shoot at a young age, and homeschooled. So it works for the Williams sisters. It works for Gianni. It's a winning formula for sure.
Yeah, I've actually already talked to my wife about moving and homeschooling our kids.
There you go.
They're 5 and 1. So future champions in this house.
Awesome.
Not me. Definitely not me. I'm too late. That passed me by. But that's okay.
It's never too late. You and I can continue competing against each other.
Yeah, that doesn't, nobody cares about who buys who appetizers at the restaurant. Like, literally no one cares which one of us wins when we're at 332nd place.
Hey, you know what?
And the only people below us are the people that got DQ'd. Listen, I'm just happy. My first nationals, I told Dave and Huggy this. My first nationals, it was literally a war of attrition. I was just happy. We started with 12 and we finished with 4 in my squad. I was just happy I was one of the ones that didn't get disqualified.
Wow.
It was bad.
That was 2019.
I'll put it this way. We had a guy whose hearing protection was just an old stethoscope that he had filled with like foam.
Damn, I've never seen that before.
It was. I'm assuming. Listen, I'm Hispanic and I love my people, but I'm assuming this guy was like a Cuban doctor that had come over and was like, "Well, that's all I can afford," and he just put foam in an old set of stethoscope, and that was his hearing protection.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that worked. He just got disqualified for, I can't remember. I think he broke the 180 or something. But I remember texting Dave. I'm like, I'm one of 4 people left. What do I do? He's like, just don't get disqualified. It's not that easy. I'm like, okay. So needless to say, I shot pretty conservative at that point. But yeah, I was like, I just don't want to like have paid a bunch of money to come out here and, have to pack it and go home. But yeah. So those are always my goals. Just don't get disqualified.
Yeah, but see, now that we put it out there that you and I compete against each other for appetizers, now everybody's going to say, man, who won?
Yes, the 1,000 people that listen to the show.
Yeah.
But I actually do have some follow-up questions.
Real quick before you get to that.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Area 8. How did you guys like Area 8?
A lot of partials, very Amy. It was a great match.
Yeah, it was fun.
Very well ran. I really enjoyed it. It was challenging. You had to use the things on top of the slide, the notches.
Those grooves on top. Yeah.
I really had to use those on a lot of target profiles. So it was great. It was good. It was a great match.
Yeah. Keanu, the match director, that's his style.
Yeah,
He loves partials and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Leo, what you got?
Okay. So a couple of sort of shooting related, some not so shooting related. So you guys talked about a little bit your off-season stuff. You guys like hunting, fishing, anything else that isn't going to get you in trouble with the Army that you guys do on your off-season? Like, oh, I go like parasailing or something like that.
I do a lot of hunting and fishing. We do a lot of hunting actions. Big on some hunting.
Yep.
So.
I mean, I'm not saying I noticed the deer in the office earlier, but whose was that?
That was our old team chiefs, Mark Weeks.
Okay. So we talked about this. I'm pretty sure it was with Matt. What are your thoughts on? Because I know you guys with your other teams, you have people like we were talking about earlier that are in the Olympics right now, or that are on the team and have gone and represented the country and all that stuff. And we talked about it with Matt. What would you think or feel about either USPSA or PRS style events being part of the Olympics? And would you want to be on that team?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, we'd be all over it.
Okay, I like it. And so when we were talking about before with Area 8, we had interviewed Keanu and some of the other guys from Area 8, and they talked about how they're trying to push a little bit more of an IPSC style match. So you guys said you liked it. Would that be something you would want to see moving forward in USPSA, is a little bit more of that technical shooting?
I like the big 32-round stages all over the time, or place like an Area 3 with open targets everywhere. And I like the technical matches. Yeah.
I think we like to see a blend of both.
Yeah.
A really, I guess you could say, healthy match with
Right.
some hosing stuff, some really hard aiming, and even some short courses that are hosey, and then some short courses that are all aiming. And then the big, huge stages, like what Jacob says, just a well-rounded mix of everything. Those are one of the nationals, basically.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
That's what we like. I mean, every match has its flavor. I get it. But, if it tests the shooter skills, throughout, those are the ones that usually a little more challenging or may not be. Everybody's different. But
Right. I got you. And then I got I got two more, one specifically for Tyler. So PRS, you said you shot open and now you're shooting gas, and like that's kind of your goal, is to be the overall. Is there anything else in PRS or that style of shooting that you would want to do specifically before you in 10 years are sitting on the beach sipping margaritas?
Yeah, so I plan on shooting gas gun. I would like to win the finale in gas gun division twice, and then switch to a different division, probably tactical, which is 223 only.
Okay.
It's kind of my goal.
Awesome. I like it. And then my final question for all three of you guys, it's probably pretty easy to tell. One side of the screen was definitely in the military at one point, and the other side of the screen, not so much. So what are your fitness standards for the Army overall, and then are there different standards for the team that are higher, or are they the same standard?
I mean, you've got the Army standard across the board, like what Jacob mentioned earlier, you do have to stay within a high weight standard just to stay in the Army.
Right.
So we have to, adhere to that. But we all have our personal goals to just stay fit for the game.
Okay.
It helps us a lot to be fit for this USPSA and three-gun and even his sport as well. I mean, we do some cardio stuff. We just like to be fit.
Right.
Be quick on our feet, but as far as the standards, I mean, AMU does have a standard for the PFT to get the black hat. But it's more of I don't know, guys, help me out. What would you say?
So if out of 100, the Army's 60, right? Yeah. 60 points. The unit is 70, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And 70 or so. And so it's a little bit higher than the normal Army standard. So
Gotcha.
the Army is switching to the ACFT, which is a different test with 6 points. And so right now they haven't come out with the new unit standard, what that will be, but I'm sure it will be the same or just a little bit higher than the Army standard.
Gotcha. Okay. So none of you are running around with like knee braces on and like titanium hips or anything.
Nope.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Got
10
it.
years. That's their goal. 10 years.
Taking chondroitin and glucosamine and all that jazz. Keep everything nice lubricated. Well, that's what I got.
All right. Well, then I got a couple questions. One, Jacob, I'm going to ask you from last year at Nationals, if you remember that big, huge stage in the back.
19. Stage 19.
Stage 19, yeah. What did you think of that stage, especially the first target that was almost like 45
yards?
For me, that stage, if I remember it correctly, I still had some lead. So for me on that stage, I wanted to get through the stage with no penalties and to, like, at most not lose more than 15 points. Because if I tried to win that stage, that's pretty high pressure. So for me, just like stay within 15 points of the top guy. I've got the buffer built in from earlier stages. And so I know I can just take my time, really finesse the trigger and hit my shots. And there may be someone that's going to be faster than me on that stage, but I got the buffer built in. So just trying to get through that stage, survive, and not lose more than 15 points. That was my thoughts on that stage. And at Nationals, I think a stage like that is kind of appropriate because you want to see the top level at Nationals, and that stage is really going to show who has perfect fundamentals.
Right. Okay. And John, what did you think?
Yeah, that stage was pretty demanding. I didn't have a lead like he did. We track our, especially in the super squad, it's a lot easier to know who's winning throughout the match. So it doesn't matter what stage it is; it matters where you're at. So I can't exactly remember where I was at. I know I wasn't out of the game at all. I was still into it pretty well. But just going into that stage, you got that far target. You got kind of a slow start there. And you had some steal demands. I wanted to survive and not have any penalties. That's a big deal. You got to be clean. And that was pretty much my goal going into it. I want to say I was pretty much top 5, top 3 going into that stage. So there's pressure there. Didn't want to mess that up, obviously. But lots of fundamental demands on that stage. Snatch it on that far target. It's going to slow you down a little bit. And then the steal there off to the right, I believe, through a port.
Yeah.
There was right in the middle of a movement, so it really makes it real choppy.
Right.
I think you had some partials on the other end that were really far as well. Those were actually of more concern to me than that really far target that was open out there.
Yeah.
That one wasn't all that big a deal. The partials there at like 20 or 25, those are the ones that I focused on. But I was clean on that stage, but I think it was Todd. He had the fastest time on Super Squad there, but we were all right there, close to each other. But it all depends on where you're at. It could be a super easy stage, and you really got to push it because you might be behind, you might be above. So it just depends on where you're at. You need to know where you're at in the match every stage.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to piggyback on that one real quick, Chris.
Okay, go ahead.
So staying on stage 19 then, that I'd assume your goal would be no penalties and maximum points, correct? Am I right there? Okay.
I would say yes, up until maximum points. The 20-yard partial that John was talking about on the side, I'm not going to try and shoot a 2-inch A zone at that distance.
Right.
I'm gonna come over and I'm just going to smoke 2 Charlie and keep going.
Right.
And choose certain targets where I need to for sure get A's because I know I'm dropping points on these targets. So, but yeah.
And there are certain targets that we can recognize just from training how long it's going to take us to shoot them just to have 2 hits on it.
Mhm.
Certain partials, it's the distance and then the size. That's where it all begins. So you can create a critical target in your mind out here, and then when you get to the match, you know that one's going to be a little more important than that big, huge open target at 7 yards. So,
Now, both of you guys shot that on your 3rd day, then, correct?
Thanks. Yes.
What? And we shot it on our 2nd day, and it was during the torrential downpour
Yeah.
that they had. So our 45-yard target, which is open and wouldn't have been a difficult target, was now completely covered with plastic and had no shape to it whatsoever. And we had rain going on. What is your okay? Let me back up for a second. You both were saying no penalties, don't do anything, to hurt yourself, basically, and keep that same distance with everybody else. What are you thinking right before the timer goes off? How are you keeping yourself in the mindset? Because going back to Lanny, the whole thing is don't think anything negative. Instead of saying, don't mess this up, you're thinking positive things. How are you doing that on that stage in particular?
For me, right before I shoot, I don't like to take my gun in and out of the holster and play put the mag in and out and get 7 sight pitch. I just like to draw my gun, load it, and put it in the holster. And if there's a hard shaded target or something, maybe I'll take a sight presentation. But besides that, I like to be very straightforward. And right before I shoot, I'll run through my stage plan, and in my head before, I've already gotten all of my, nervousness or doubts out. I use counter thoughts to get rid of those. So if I think, well, that target's really hard, I'll think, way before it's my turn to shoot, I'll get rid of that thought by thinking I've shot paper targets farther and harder than this, and I've practiced. I know my gun shoots this tight, and as long as I do this, I can hit it. So now I don't have to worry about that. So when I get up to do it right before I start, I don't have any of those negative thoughts, and I can just focus on what I need to do. I'll run through the stage in my head quickly, and I should have no doubts where I'm oh, what's next? I'll just run through it quickly, and that boosts confidence, and then I just focus on immediately the first target or listening for the beep. That's what I do.
Okay, John?
my routine is very similar. I'm a little bit more fidgety in the beginning, but I take my gun out, I load it, and I put it back in my holster, and then I try to mentally go through the stage literally as fast as I can, and in my head, and that raises my confidence really well. I mean, everything is pre-planned down to that place right there where I'm going to be shooting in each spot. And just executing the plan itself is the main priority. And then in the moment of shooting the targets, I know what's right, what's wrong as far as the gun. What the behavior of the gun is really key for me. Shooting 40, there's certain ways the gun can react in relation to the target. I'll know if it's a miss or not instantly. So that's kind of my routine. I'm pretty simple too, like Jacob. I don't like to really go into things in the moment when he's about to hit the timer. I'm pretty low key. It's the first target is what I'm thinking about, and I am listening for the beat to initiate that draw, and that's when everything just plays out the way it's supposed to. So very confident on anything. It doesn't matter the stage, doesn't matter the targets. Once I got my plan, I know I can hit all the targets. So what else do I need? Just some aggression. That's it.
Now, both of you said you run through the stage really quickly in your head. What does that mean?
So that takes out any doubt, any sort of, it's a confidence booster. Because him and I have already walked the stage. We've already got our plan on our own time during the walkthrough. And we've ironed out anything we want to change or anything like that. Once I have a plan at that moment, when the timer's about to go off, I'm going to do that plan. So if I can run through it really fast, that's reassuring me that there's no hesitation. I know where all the targets are. The last thing I want is to be mid-stage and not know where our target's at. So, we really want to iron that out to the point to where it's just natural. You come here and the gun just goes to that target, hit a load, whatever the case may be. Everything is planned. That way I can focus on the shooting itself and hitting targets. If it's an easy stage, then it's all aggression. How hard can I dig in and move? How fast can I pull the trigger? If it's a hard stage, I want to feel the trigger. I want to make sure the behavior of the gun is on each target, each shot, stuff like that. So I want to focus on hitting the targets well. So if I can run through it fast, then the plan is a piece of cake.
Okay. So it's your plan you're running through real quick in your head.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Chris, what you got?
Oh, I didn't ask Tyler. Tyler's been sitting back there, so I'm like,
I know.
so he's been patient. So now the question is to you, Tyler. Were you there, and what did you think of it?
I was not there, so I don't.
He did not think much of it.
Okay, so that's why Tyler's like, whatever.
Well, I actually, if you don't have one, I actually do have another Tyler question I thought of while they were talking.
Well, ask another Tyler question, but I do have other questions.
Okay, so this is the last one I got. So we've talked about this before, going from open to gas. Are there significant training differences when you're switching from one platform to another for PRS that you have to take into account going from those two different platforms?
Not significant. There's small stuff like with the bolt gun, you always have to move with your bolt back. With the gas gun, you have to put it on safe and verbally yell safe. So that's something you got to kind of train in, but it doesn't take long. It's just a different platform. Like it recoils different. It'd be like going from a revolver to a single stack, similar round count and everything, but totally different operating system.
Okay, cool. So, but like the fundamentals are still the fundamentals. It's just those minor things. So there's nothing like a wide gap of training that you have to account for.
No, just like everything else, put the sights on and break the trigger without moving them.
That's right.
Well, there you go.
All right. So here's another question for you. I know you guys talked about 3-gun and USPSA. What would you say you have more fun at? You have more fun at a USPA shoot, or would you say you have more fun at a 3-gun shoot?
So for me, it may be different for all of us, but I have more fun at a 3-gun match. The stages are usually longer, more involved. There's more physical aspect to it. Like if you're running a 3-day stage, and then the challenge of figuring out your slugs and your bird shot and what choke you're going to use for your shotgun, and then trying to remember, which isn't very hard, but like your holds for a long range stage, what like mill line you got to use,
right?
And then for pistol, like when you're going to switch to your heavier pistol loads and when you're going to reload, and what it's going to take to hit a 100-yard gong target. So all of the aspects of that for me make it more fun.
Okay. And what about you, John?
Obviously, 3-gun, in my opinion, is a lot more demanding than USPSA. You're doing a lot more shooting, a lot more different skill sets. But as far as fun, man, that's hard. I've shot both. I've shot a lot of 3-gun and a lot of USPSA. They're both a blast. I really enjoy both of them. USPSA is a lot more technical. A lot more little tiny things matter with pistol, but with 3-gun, it's really easy to have a good time at 3-gun. It's very easy to do that because I'm a big fan of shooting a rifle. a lot of fun. The long range aspect of 3-gun is really cool to me. You go get up in some crazy position and shoot a bunch of steel way out there. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'd say, I mean, wholesale probably easier to have a little bit more fun with 3-gun, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Tyler, same question.
I'm gonna have to agree. 3-gun's probably the most fun. There's just so much going on in 3-gun that it's never the same thing.
Right.
You can
Okay.
shoot 2 stages and it's never gonna be even similar. So, a little more.
Awesome. All right. So here's a question, and I'm not going to ask, particular brand or anything like that, but footwear. Do you guys prefer like a boot or a tennis shoe or like a cross trainer or like a hiking type style shoe? What do you prefer?
Personally, I like to wear a baseball cleat. It's got just enough ankle support, but it's not like over your ankles like a football.
Right.
And then you have to find a pair that has very like super soft rubber,
Mhm.
because a lot of baseball cleats are hard rubber.
Right.
So you can find, and like maybe in plastic sometimes. So finding a very soft rubbered baseball cleat, that's my go-to shooting shoe.
Okay.
I just like it lightweight and comfortable. There was some 3-gun matches I shot where you almost needed to wear boots, and I did. I real lightweight boots, and they helped a lot. But for USPSA, just a comfortable lightweight shoe. What I
Okay. Tyler?
So not necessarily like a trail shoe or anything like that, just a standard tennis shoe?
Oh, it's something with a little bit of tread.
Okay.
Running shoes, probably not so much, but like road running shoes, I wouldn't use those. But a little bit of tread and just lightweight is my thing, not heavy.
Okay.
All right.
Depending where we're going, if we're up in the mountains somewhere, I'll wear some form of boot because a lot of times we'll have to run through some pretty rough terrain. But I like over the ankle shoes with some good tread on them.
Okay. Very nice.
Hold on a second, Huggy. Let me interject because I have a question to piggyback on what you were asking.
Okay.
Since you guys, unlike the other military teams, they're only on permissive TAD orders. You guys are actually going to be on travel orders. You're on duty, so you're still representing the Army. Do you guys have any competition uniform restrictions, things you can't wear? And you don't have to get into specifics. I'm just curious if they're like limit you, or is it goes back to if it's going to help you win, then wear it.
They'll buy us pretty much anything we need as far as clothing or competition uniform stuff. So we are required to wear our branded uniform. So they'll buy us everything from shoes, pants, jerseys, jackets, everything like that. So
Okay.
we typically wear whatever we're issued.
All right.
Cool. So here's another question. Does the Army allow you all to, like, we'll say coach / teach outside of the Army? So if, say for instance, I'll just say me, if I'm like, hey, I want to get some training and get some more experience, could one of you all say, yeah, I'll meet you at this range, blah, 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 and teach you.
Hawk.
Huggy's always trying to set up a date. I don't know how this happens, but
Yeah, it's always awkward. Can we meet up on practice school?
Right.
I think what he's asking is outside. Can you do outside employment type stuff while you're on active duty in the Army?
Yes, we can, but there is a memorandum with our unit that we have to get approved. Once that's approved, yes, we can do that. But
All right. That's pretty cool.
When we stop recording, Huggy's probably going to ask for y'all's numbers.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking out.
What are you guys free?
All right. So earlier when you guys were talking about, Lenny Basham and the mental game and everything like that, when you're shooting and you happen to have a bad shoot, you just was like, no, do you just kind of like wave it off and go like, okay, that's over, it's done with, on to the next stage, we're going to get them in the next stage here? Or do you like get together and discuss about it, talk about it, to figure out what the problem is? How do you prepare yourself when something like that happens?
I think it might be a little different for all of us, but for me, if I have a mic or something during a stage, I kind of give myself like a minute or 2 minutes, like up to 5 minutes to be like all upset and get those emotions out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do anything like stomp around or be visibly upset, but in my head, I'm going to be all pissed off. But then after that, you can't take it back and you earned it. So
Right.
you've got to continue with your plans, and you have to know deep inside that even though you had that bad stage, there's still a really good chance to win. So
Okay.
nobody's perfect. So
We need to pause. Jacob, I was watching some of Production Nationals being live streamed earlier this year. And if I remember correctly, you had a stage where you had a reload not go as smooth as you would like.
yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. I went to load and I hit the back of the bullet, the next one up, and it like half loaded forward in the mag as I inserted, and it got stuck in the gun and locked it all up.
Yeah.
And that was the stage where after that, there wouldn't be enough points available in the match for me to even get close to winning. So after that one was pretty rough.
Okay, so but I would like to expand on it. Let's say that's day 2 at Nationals. Let's say that's the last stage of day 2 at Nationals, so you still have a day to go. How are you strategizing that, or what are you doing in order to compensate for that?
So what I'll do is I'll figure out how many points I'm back, and then I'll look at the stages available next, and I'll try and find anywhere that plays to my strengths. And I'm going to go hard on those. And then smaller stages, I'm going to choose where I have weaknesses and stuff like that. I'm going to try and just run the line there, but you're back and you only have 1 day left. So you really have to make up ground, and it all is kind of situation dependent. But you just basically make a plan on which stages you're going to go for it, and you have to just try and execute that last day. But definitely go walk the stages and figure out, where can I take more risk to get more time. So, and it usually involves shooting on the move or shooting targets way farther away. So it's not easy. Yeah.
I can imagine.
So do you, John, do you feel the same way that Jacob does when you have, a mic or something of that nature?
Yeah, so I will immediately try and figure out how bad that hurt me. I tend to be a bit of a realist sometimes. So, my thing, his is 5 minutes, mine is the next stage. When I get to the next stage, it's got to be all washed out. I can't be, all poopy about it at the next stage, because then it's going to hurt my next stage. So by the time I get to the next stage, I'm over it. It's whatever. But I'm going to know how bad it hurt me. It may be only, 5 points. It might be 20 points. I want to know that, so then it's going to characterize how I shoot the rest of the match, depending on how the next few stages go, obviously. And if I'm, the match is almost over, we're turning it up. What am I going to lose? So,
right.
I'm going to go fast as I can go on a lot of targets that I wouldn't shoot that fast normally, stuff like that. But as far as making a mistake, we're going to make it. So you have to kind of manage that. You can't let it go to the next stage, because then it's just compounding from there.
Right.
I try not to do a lot of negativity, even when something like that happens. I don't, it's all over now, but points, it may indicate that it might be. So it's difficult, like Jacob said. It is.
So Tyler, do you feel that, or have the same thought pattern too? You just like let it go or at the next stage you're like, okay, it's over and done. What are your thoughts also?
Yeah, I'm similar to Jacob. I'll take a couple minutes to process it, and I always try to learn what happened. So I don't keep a journal, but I keep all my match books. And so on something that I say I blew a stage, I'll write down what went wrong. And then when I'm done with the match or getting ready for the next match, I kind of go through it and try to identify any trends where I was lacking in the skill set. And then I'll focus on that for the next match.
Okay. All right. And
that's a good point, Tyler. So if I, like at Area 8, I missed a couple steel, there when I should have hit them. So I'll come back here and shoot steel the same exact target excessively and just kind of go over what that looks like some more. So I'll take that from the match and do that here. So whether it's a partial or an entrance or whatever. So.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Speaking of, you brought up the segue into my next question, the match book. When a match comes out and you guys have the availability to the match book, do you guys try to set up the stage and practice at them? If you see like, oh, this is going to be a difficult stage, do you guys try to set those up to kind of work on your game before the competition?
It depends. Not really. What I do from the diagrams or the match book is see what kind of targets they've showed us. So if the flavor of the match is lots of partials, then I'll go shoot the partials. But if it's got a lot of steel, then I'll go shoot a lot of steel. I wouldn't say we set up the exact stages.
Yeah. The only time I think we would try and like recreate a target would be like if they had a mover that looked like excessively hard, not just like your normal swinger. If we set up, maybe practice something like that. But besides that, yeah, we just get a trend, like John said. Maybe there's a bunch of partials and practice the trend. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. So at Area 8, it was pretty hot. What'd you think?
Very hot.
I mean,
It would have been hotter if they were at Benning. So I don't think it bothered them all that much.
Okay. All right. Well, I know I shot on Sunday at Area 8 and the humidity was through the roof. And I mean, I was drinking as much water as I could to stay hydrated, but as fast as it was going in, it was coming out. Of course, I'm a fat kid, but I sweat a lot more. But I was just wondering with the heat and everything, it didn't affect you, obviously, like you said, because Benning is hotter than being up here. But do you ever see that sometimes, the weather playing into your or playing against you or anything like that? Or does it affect you at all?
The match schedule is what determines it with me. If it's a half-day match, I don't focus on it as much. But if it's an all-day match like Area 8 was, I know that I'm going to have to push some calories and kind of maintain an energy level.
Yeah.
Because I'll be 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Anybody's going to start getting tired. So I really want to start pushing some sugar and some energy there throughout. Early in the morning, especially. That way you don't get behind. Once you're behind, you're already screwed.
Right.
You want to just kind of keep pushing it there. But if it's a half-day match, it's not too much of a concern with me. But every system's different. But I just know if it's an all-day match, I'm going to have to keep eating.
Right.
That's how I address that one.
Okay. Is there any particular foods that you all say, hey, we're going to be carrying this with us to kind of help us along during
MREs.
these? Yeah.
That way everything stays in until the end.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you guys like say, hey, we're going to be carrying this with us and it's an all-day match, we're going to eat this? Is that what you guys do versus like, oh, they're going to have a barbecue truck, we'll just go get some food from there?
We both carry food with us, all kinds of different stuff. It kind of changes sometimes with matches, but some with some sugar, some with some fat. He likes some different stuff than I do, but basically just some damn food, you know.
Okay. All right.
It tastes yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back on what you said earlier, like, did the hot weather affect us? Like, not as bad because we live in a hot climate. But last year at Area 2, like, you gotta have hand warmers when it's snowing. So it was snowing on us and it was freezing cold. So, like, having a hand warmer for both hands, and then you know, some guns don't run really well cold, so a lot of people put hand warmers in their mag well to try and keep their gun up. I don't know how well that works, but I only had 2 hand warmers, but yeah, you gotta have that. Some people are using now, it's like a battery that has a little heater in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a hand warmer that isn't chemical that will break open in your pocket and
Right.
that black powder. So just something to keep your hands warm, more so than clothes for cold.
Oh yeah, I will have to say Leo and I experienced that one time. We shot a competition and it was
In the snow. Awesome.
At Shadowhawk, where Area 8 was.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where literally I could not feel my hands, and I'm like, oh my god, this I hope I'm really squeezing this gun.
I felt like I was in a John Woo movie. It was amazing.
Yeah, and the sad part was I cracked open one of those hand warmers. You know, it's like you just shake up, like you said, the chemical one. You shake up and it's supposed to warm up. Yeah, it didn't warm up until the end of the match when I got in the truck to leave, and I'm like, oh, now you really want to work now.
But yeah, it's bad luck.
It's because his meat hooks are so big, though. It's just the bigger. Yeah, it's genetically, it's very odd.
So
That's
anyway,
just science.
that's all my questions I have for those guys. So
Okay, unfortunately, now they've triggered some questions. So, Tyler, I have 2 specifically for you. Do you keep a physical data book on your gun?
Yeah, I have a little notebook that I carry around. Anytime I shoot, I write down all my holds and everything. I do that, 1, to kind of fine tune my Kestrel, because that's my primary ballistic.
Okay.
I use a Kestrel. And 2, if my Kestrel does go down, like I have years
Back up.
written down stuff, and it kind of identifies trends at different ranges.
Now, so that's going to bring up another question then. As John can attest to, I kept a data book, whether it was for the high power team or the other stuff I was doing, so I could go back and know exactly what my gun was going to do, regardless of the weather. Like, I knew if there's a 20-degree change, high or low, then I knew this is what my gun was going to do. Things like that. Does the Kestrel track that accurately?
It does. Yeah, it's 2021, man.
Listen, I have been holding off on making old people jokes all day long. Thank you very much. I'm usually the one that opens that floodgate. Dave, you're old.
I have not used the Kestrel, so I figured I would ask.
No, they're super effective. They take into account everything: temperature, humidity, DA, everything.
So, Mills or MOA?
I use Mills, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, John, you use Mills also?
Mills, where it's at. That's just where my head's at. I just grew up on Mills. It's got to be Mills.
I like
Mills
Oh,
or Mills MOA?
Mill reticle, mill turns. Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm old school. I still prefer Mills MOA. And I can do the math rapidly in my head, so.
It's actually
It's all
really
good.
annoying. Sometimes he's like, "Oh, it's this," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm not a freaking math wunderkind."
Okay. So John and Jacob, Julie shoots a lot of Bianchi style stuff. Do you guys ever shoot Bianchi style movers where they're actually moving, not just swingers, bobbers, but the target's actually moving miles per hour?
I shot the mover a couple years ago over there on their range on that target. But no, I wouldn't say we shoot it regularly.
Yeah. Our team, the action shooting team, we don't shoot Bianchi. The service pistol team that works for our unit, that's their whole job. So yeah, they'll shoot all that stuff, and we'll shoot all of our stuff here. So
Okay. Tyler, do you ever just shoot movers and long-range moving targets?
Yep. Almost every match there'll be a mover, so we
Okay.
practice them.
Now, for the three of you, I always look at certain weather conditions as being an advantage for me, because I know there are certain weather conditions that people don't like to shoot at. Do you guys ever look forward to certain weather conditions? You're like, okay, not only is my shooting level up here, but now I've got these weather conditions, which I prefer, so I can maximize everything.
yeah, I would say I prefer sunny and 75 degrees. Perfect. But
Slightly overcast.
yep, that would be my perfect with us. Well, in USPSA, a very slight breeze, but in like 3-gun PRS, no wind. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say
All
my
right.
weather conditions would be the same as Jacob.
Yep.
Now, Tyler, what about you? Because weather can really affect that long-range stuff.
Oh, I'm with these two. All the top guys are going to be about the same as far as calling wind. So,
So sunny, 75, 0 mile per hour wind.
I would prefer a little overcast. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no mirage, just perfect.
Yeah. Boil. Yeah.
There you go. All right. That's all I've got. Well, gentlemen, we greatly appreciate you guys coming on. Is there anything you want to add or anything you feel you need to clarify?
if you want to join the Army, just go contact your local recruiter, and they'll get you hooked up.
All right. There you go.
It will.
What is it, like goarmy.com or something?
I think it's just army.mil, maybe. Just put it
Okay.
in Google Army and it'll pop up.
I was like, again, Dave, it's 2021. I think you just say Army, Alexa will figure the rest of it out for you.
Never met her.
She doesn't live in my house either. So
Well, gentlemen, again, we appreciate you guys coming on. I didn't expect you guys to be on this quick after Area 8. Jacob gave me the information on Friday, and here you guys are today. So we greatly appreciate your time, and we wish you guys the best and hope you all meet your goals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you again.
No problem.
Take care, and at least Jacob, I'll see you at Nationals.
All right.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.
Until next time.
Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah.